Hello and welcome. My name is Mary McElhatton. I am your host today for the Permission Mission Show. I am so excited. We have a very special guest in the house today.
I'm about special.
I say he's special. Mr. Troy Warren is with us in the house today. And we here at Permission Mission, we do talk about tough stuff. I'm sure if you haven't noticed, Troy's got some health issues going on. He's going to share what he's comfortable sharing. And I am simply here to keep the conversation open of mortality because it's happening 100% of the time. I want you to know, Troy, that we're all in the same seat. Some of us sometimes look like we're going sooner than others, but also, hey, I could not go home today. So I appreciate your courage, your strength, your wisdom to be here, your bravery to come and openly talk with others about your journey and what's going on. So my first question to you, Troy, how would you best describe Troy Warren?
He's just a dude, living his life, being a good dad, good husband, good friend, good uncle, and just had something bad happen to me and then attempting to get through it.
And a good friend, if I may add.
Yes.
We've been friends for a long time,
Over
Troy
20
and I.
years.
Over about 24 years, Troy and I have been friends. I've certainly watched and grown up with you, right?
So to speak, yes.
We have kids that are kind of around the same age. Our children have done some exciting things together, and
they've done some dumb shit too.
Dumb stuff. Troy asked me earlier, he goes, Mary, what's the language barrier on the show? And I said, Troy, you get to be Troy today. So it's my show. We get to say what we want to say. So I am going to, Troy, I want to go back to January 29th of 2023. I actually have a picture of a post or a text that you had sent me.
You sure that was January?
January 28th, 2023.
Okay.
And it was followed up by a post on Facebook that I had been putting out Permission Mission out there for quite some time for people just to, normalize the conversation of mortality so that we are better prepared, better equipped, equipping our family who are left behind just to have that permission to openly talk about it because, right? I mean, this day happens and a lot of families are they're like shocked.
Limbo.
They're in limbo. They don't have funds sometimes. They don't understand why somebody passed away, maybe because us as parents didn't even tell our kids that people pass away. So this text that you had sent me, because I was so thrilled when I got it, you said, my post today came from following you and your mission. I thought I knew what you were talking about. Now I do know, and I understand your Permission Mission drive. And thank you for your leadership in this area. Can you tell them a little bit more about like that day, because Permission Mission's been out there for a couple years, but I think I'm finally having the communication of what it is and how it can help every person to live life better while we have the chance. What was it for you when you finally kind of had that breakthrough?
For me, having gone through and hear me, the understanding is way further now since what I've gone through over the last 9 months or so. Having that conversation, because I've seen people having conversations, it's like, oh my God, my dad died, my mom died, my sister died, and we don't have the funds. I mean, the financial burden part of it, because it wasn't planned. And then what do you do? For me, it was, oh my God, my wife isn't protected. I don't have a will. I don't have any. Now, the one thing I did set up was if something was to happen to me somewhere through Palm Mortuary, matter of fact, my remains would be taken care of. And I'll share with you, wherever I'm at, I get picked up. But anyways, I am to be cremated, and then I want my ashes, out in the desert. So I was born and raised here.
Born and raised, an original Nevada night.
Sunrise Hospital, 1965. And anyways, I've got a lot, I don't have a lot. However, I have enough. If something was to happen to me and there was nothing in writing or nothing. So Sally and I started having the conversation. Because if you actually want to fast forward from that, I actually got to face my mortality on May 8th, such that the urgent care doctor looked at me and she says, "I'm surprised you woke up this morning."
Wow. Wow.
Now, have the doctor tell you that. And then she says, I had pulmonary embolism. For those of you who don't know, it's blood clots in the lungs. Never had it. Never been, until this happened, this cancer happened, nothing. Like, I had never been sick.
Yeah.
And when I knew it was super serious, we got to Sunrise in an ambulance ride of all things, because she said, "You're going now, no questions asked." We got whisked around, I think it was 8 or 9 gurneys with people on them. And the ER charge nurse, another nurse, and the ER doctor were waiting for me. And while they were getting my clothes off me, getting me in gowns so they could get me up to, turns out I was in ICU, and the IVs with the heparin, the blood clotting medicine to help bust up blood clots. The charge nurse, the ER charge nurse, she says, "Look, I've seen your CT scans. I cannot believe you're talking to me." They didn't expect me to make it through the night, matter of fact.
Wow.
The doctor came in and I told him, because I didn't have a directive. And so I had to verbally communicate to the doctor my directive. And let's just say he was less than happy, because he looked at me and he said, "If this goes down," which they were expecting, "and we can't get the proper oxygen to," I wasn't supposed to be intubated, is my thing.
Yeah.
And he said, "You could die." And I said, "Duly noted."
Duly noted.
Duly noted. And so that ended that conversation. Now, since then, we have a living trust. We have our wills are in place, and both UCLA, which is where I ended up getting my diagnosis and my treatment, and Sunrise, because that's my hospital here in case something happens, both have my directives, and now things are good, set in stone. Sally understands what happens to me if I go, and I understand what to do with her if she goes, and it just opened up this conversation of permission mission that I wish more people would talk about. So that's kind of a brief overview. I'm not sure exactly where you want to go from there, but
Yeah. Well, I am just so thankful that you're here to tell your own story, Troy, because, and I love that you said, you know what to do. Sally knows what to do. Now you guys really just focus on what you have, what time you have. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you're not going down easy, Superman. So Troy puts out posts almost daily.
Well, probably about every 2 or 3 days.
Okay, every 2 or 3 days. He's a little Facebook maniac a little bit, but in a good way.
Well, I decided to share my story.
He's not afraid to share it. You're not afraid, and you share it so openly and honestly and boldly and proudly, and that's what is possible when you're just giving yourself the permission to not be in this alone.
Yeah.
Because do you feel like you're alone in this, Troy?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes there are some pretty dark days going through chemo and radiation, and I will tell you this: my wife and I, Sally, we've never been closer. I can't even. There's no way I can even express the feelings that I have. The way she has taken care of me, taken care of the house, still works, and then handles all of the doctor's appointments and everything like that. I mean, she's just been great. And but I do share my story. I do share my struggles. I have 2. So the war with cancer and battling for my life it's not a journey. It's a juggernaut. It's an all-out war. Cancer wants to win. I'm saying no. The battles are with chemo, which mine turned out to be 6 rounds of double chemo and immunotherapy, which if anybody's ever gone through that understands how bad that can tear up the body. And then I had 33 sessions of radiation, hence, excuse me,
Wow.
some of the side effects from that has been, and see, part of it is now I've got brain fog from all of that, and I just lost my train of thought. So
It's
last
fine.
question.
That's why I'm here with you. Why I'm here with you, Troy. Is just, my goal too in this whole permission mission is to, make sure that people are aware that, that we're here for you to the extent that you need us as your friends and people who love and care for you and Sally. And I think the bravery in you putting your story out there has allowed us to, be there in the way that we can. Meaning, like when you posted that, and then you really connected with the permission mission part. I mean, I went up to see you at that time when
Yes,
it
you
was.
did.
I mean, that put urgency in my frame of mind to be. I'm not going to be complacent anymore. I don't want to be, especially with people that have been and made an impact in my life. But it took your transparency and your openness and Sally's openness, and that's the only way that we know how to best support you or be there for you and your family. And I mean, you've done a wonderful job. And like I said, I've seen you since I went to see you in the hospital to you today, and I mean, you're a rock star.
Well, I don't know about a rock star.
You're
Like
a rock star. I mean, I know you're fighting like nobody's business, but you're looking better and stronger, Troy, than I think even what I expected, just because it's so scary. Everybody says cancer, and it's like no one really knows what to say because it has to be so scary for those.
Well, I did. When I got the news, when we finally figured out why my face went paralyzed, everything was going down. It'd been a year and a half, about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And we were sitting there, and I ended up at UCLA, and they did they went in and they did the biopsy because the biopsy couldn't be done in Vegas. I'll never forget when Dr. Sears and Dr. Lucarelli came in, and she says, "You have cancer." And I snapped. I'm like, "What the fuck did you just say?"
Mm.
Like, that was the last thing in my mind. And it had taken so long to get diagnosed. I was like right there, stage 4. Once again, on the nose to nose, toes to toes with the Grim Reaper. And hence the double chemo, immunotherapy, all the radiation and everything. And it's a juggernaut. And if you don't understand what a juggernaut is a war with a formidable or sometimes indefensible opponent. And why I say sometimes indefensible is because sometimes people don't make it. Permission mission, Sal and I talked a lot. One of the things that I've always wanted to have happen was when I go, just take everybody to my favorite pub. I'll buy the first round, and then everybody can just tell stories about me. But what I have learned through Permission Mission and some of the other stories and stuff that I've talked to people about is that's fine and dandy, but sometimes the setting in a church or in a funeral home or something, there's something about the grieving process, because when I die, that service ain't for me. It's for my family, my loved ones, my friends, and whoever, for them to start their grieving process, to start to coming to terms with, say, me not being around. So that's why, I talked to my wife again. Hey, when I go, let's do the bar thing, but I think we need to have it. I think I should have a service just so people can come in, because not everybody's going to go to the bar and they're not going to get that opportunity maybe, So once again, permission, mission, we got to talk. Throughout this whole thing, and then it hit home here about it's been about 6 weeks now. My daughter's father-in-law, my son-in-law's dad, passed away unexpectedly. No will, nothing said, nothing's planned. Whole family gets together. It's like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? So they had to filter through all of that so they could come to a consensus of, eye leaking too.
Oh, you got a little tear. That's all right. So they didn't have things, which is not their fault.
Which his dad,
they have because
things,
we
so
don't talk about it, right?
However, out of that, my daughter and her husband are like, God, what do I want? What do we need to have happen if something? Because face it, anybody can go at any time. When God says it's your time, it's your time. And so it has them talking now, which is a good thing. Permission, mission.
Yeah. I used to think that if I talked about death and mortality, if I talked about death like it's going to happen. And then I also used to think that since my brothers passed early on, that I would probably pass early on. Just something I kind of thought, so I had this fear all the time of, that if I do talk about it, then it could promote it. But you're a prime example of somebody who, you've been dealing with this for how long now?
Okay, so we started noticing the crooked smile and the drooping of the face in March of 22. But I wasn't diagnosed with cancer, diagnosed with all kinds of other crap. But I wasn't diagnosed, the actual diagnosis of cancer, until July 15th of, or 14th or 15th of 23. And yeah, it's, been dealing with this for a long time. And just because you talk about something, some of the things like you and I have discussed and we've been taught and we've so-called learned, what you put your energy on is going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, not always. This is something that needs to be, not all the time, but you need to have that conversation, spouse to spouse, kids to, mom and dad, different things of that nature, because I've had over the years, I've seen it bankrupt families because something wasn't put into play and they had no idea their financial situation or any of that stuff. And so, I thought, well, shame on them, bad on him or her, whoever it was that passed. And I feel come to realize it's like, no, permission, mission, man. We need to have these conversations.
It's, like I was just saying, it's not people's fault just because they don't. It's more of an awareness to bring it to the surface today where we can just think differently. And I bet you don't get upset, or you get over your upsets much quicker today.
Well, I'm a way softer, gentler guy than I used to be.
I'll be the first to tell you I know, because I have known Troy for a long time. And I remember, just kind of feeling rubbed the wrong way sometimes by things you'd say. But today I can't get enough of your conversations. The other night we were celebrating his 59th birthday, and Dan and I are just in
therefore,
tears.
But by the grace of God, go I.
Amen. You are still here and you still have a lot to do. So we are going to take a commercial real quick so we can just have a little quick breather. right?
Mhm.
You're doing great. Really proud of you. Thankful to have Troy here on the show today. Stay tuned. We are here with WWDBTV live broadcasted here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to go to a commercial. We'll see you right back.
Hi, my name is Edgar Alejandro. I'm the co-founder of Rising Again Productions. So we've been here in Vegas producing films for the past couple of years, and we've seen our fair share of studios. We've worked in our fair share of studios, and to be honest, WWDBTV has been our favorite by far. John is so welcoming. The space is wonderful. It's perfect for what we need. We've had rehearsals here. We've had callbacks here. We've had table reads here. So if you're a Vegas creative, or really just a creative coming into Vegas, definitely check out this space. Chat with John. I think you'll find that this studio has everything that you'll need as well.
Introducing See Us Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At See Us Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family-Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it.
Welcome back to the Permission Mission Show. My name is Mary McElhatton. We are live broadcasting here in Las Vegas. I am here with a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Troy Warren, aka Superman. He has been fighting some pretty big fights over the last couple of years. Troy has shared, if you're just joining in, Troy has shared his journey with cancer. He has shared his journey with having the hard, tough conversations with his beautiful bride, Sally, and his children. He has put things in place already just so that, things are prepared for the time of. But Troy is a warrior. He's not giving up anytime soon. And I, as his friend, couldn't be more proud of a man coming forth to just share what's going on in your life, how things have been over the last couple of years. They've been hard. And more importantly, just that you're not alone in this, Troy. And, the more people you kind of get the word out there to, what you guys need, what kind of support, what kind of help, because I think sometimes even just in mortality, we kind of keep it to ourselves, right? But yet we're all going to do it.
Right.
It's something we all do, but we tend to kind of keep it right here where it's not helpful for others to kind of be there while they can, because.
Well, what I didn't understand was, and I lost and during this, I lost my sight for a while.
In both eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Both eyelids closed. And it was amazing to me once I started sharing the story and what was going on with me, and Sally and the different things that was going on, that all of the people that came out and said, "Hey man, I remember when you did this for me, man, what can I do?" Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I did, because when I go out and help people, I don't do it because I want something back in return. It's somebody needs some help, so go help them. And it really hit home on my 59th birthday because, on Facebook, you get Facebook wishes if you have your birth date in there. And normally, and hear me, and I've been on Facebook since 2010, 2009. So I've been on for a while. My page is public. If anybody wants to go see it, it's Troy Ethan Warren. Normally I'd get 150, 175 birthday wishes. I'm well over 600 this year. And the amount of people that I've heard and the stories that have come back to me, it's like, yeah, you did this for me and my family. I'm like, sorry, I don't remember. I don't keep tabs on what, I do or Sally and I do or anything of that nature when we go help somebody. And it was an eye opener. Because I really in the beginning of this thing, I had a tough time. Oh, dude, you're so brave. You're strong. You're a warrior. You're this. You're that. And I really fought against it because the truth is, I'm just a dude who's had some bad shit going his way that he's attempting to get through. And the journey part of this, the spiritual side, is having my conversations with God. Some good, some not so good. When Toby Keith passed, there was an interview that came out. And one of the questions he was asked was, are you okay either way? And I got to thinking about that, and I was like, yeah, I am too. And it's because I have faith. Those that don't have faith, I don't think could ever understand. Because seriously, at the end of the day, do I want to live? Yeah. I'm going to fight like hell to live? Yeah. But when the good Lord says, hey, man, it's time, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that.
And you're good with that.
No.
We have the cool part about this show is that people do reach out to us and ask some questions. So Brianna Bree is saying, I love his shirt. Hey, Troy, I admire your bravery in such a time in your life. When you were diagnosed, what was the conversation like with your family when you told them?
A lot of tears. I didn't really tell anybody or go public with it, obviously, until, I had a conversation with my mom. And mind you, we lost my sister to cancer and we lost my dad to myasthenia gravis. So, it's just me and my mom. But I wasn't going to let her see it on Facebook. The first conversation was like, how bad is it? And what are you going to do? And so that was a lot of it. And it's like, yeah, it's stage 4. Oh my God, what's the prognosis? Are you going to live? And I said, my doctors at UCLA, my oncologist seems to think that we can kick its ass. And I'm like, okay. Now, as far as the damage and stuff done to my face, that's probably going to be permanent. Because the nerves behind just so everybody knows, I have what's called squamous cell carcinoma in the left orbital socket. Now, for those of you that understand what that is, they were saying, well, wait a minute, squamous cell is a skin cancer. Yes, it is. However, with a lot of research and talking with my doctors, it seems to be a snarky little bitch and likes to burrow. However, most of the time, it'll go into the lymph nodes, it'll go into the lungs, into the stomach. For whatever reason, mine attacked and buried itself behind my eye in all the nerves and everything, which makes me one of 15 people that it's done this to. And so, getting back to your question, a lot of tears. There was a lot of tears. It's like, oh my God, you got cancer. It's like, yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I was angry. I took it out on the doctor I was fortunate enough to see her and the other doctor again and was able to apologize for my behavior because I flipped. I didn't know what to say. I even clammed up. I went off Facebook for 4 months before people started asking, God, where's Troy? Where's Troy? Is he still around? And so since it started the conversation of what I was going through, and when I finally went back on Facebook and went and said, okay, I'm going to share this juggernaut with y'all, a lot of tears. There was a lot of tears because we didn't know. I remember my first chemo treatment. I was sitting there in tears Yeah, biker in tears because one, I
Harley biker.
don't want to die. Two, I got to figure out what's going on so I can figure out how do I fight this. And I looked at my nurse in UCLA and I said, I am petrified because I don't know what to expect. And when I went through that first chemo immunotherapy session, and hear me, I was in the chair from 7 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon every Thursday, every 3 weeks, once every 3 weeks. I saw her for the second time and I said, I'm petrified because now I know what to expect because it sucked. And so, yeah, just a lot of tears in the beginning, not knowing what to do. A lot of people didn't know what to say to me. And so that's the reason why I decided to open it all up. No questions are off limits. You can say what the fuck you want to say. I don't really care. Because at the end of the day, if I can put out the truth and something happens, at least you can make an informed medical decision on what you need to do for you. Because there's a lot of junk out there when it comes to cancer. And I mean junk.
That definitely could even be another show, Troy.
Yes.
That could be another show because unless we're out talking, how would one not even know? And if there were a lot of tears, I tell, oh, we're kind of spinning around. There we are. We're spinning around there. People are getting a little dizzy. This is kind of the same thing, Troy, in life. Like even when you think you have control over something,
You don't.
somebody else has control. I love technology, but when it doesn't work, I feel like there's job security because
This is
we
why I
still
like
need
live.
family. We still need, people.
Mm-hmm.
So, you were just talking about the tears. I was just saying, until we have tears, nothing ever meaningful comes out of not having tears. Does that make sense? Like
Makes
it's
absolute
more
sense.
surfacey. I always say a good show is when tears show up, or a good talk, meaningful talk is when we have tears. Dan gets frustrated because he's not a big crier, right?
Mm-mm.
But with me, I'm like, yes, I want a good cry. That means like movements taking place and getting the cobwebs out of the heart that tend to, build up over time because it's easier to not talk about true things.
Yeah, because one of the things that's happened through, and I don't know if it's because of the medicine, because let me tell you something, chemo and radiation will fuck you up. It is some nasty shit. I don't even wish this on my worst enemy. I don't. But I become very emotional about things. And I don't know why, if I'm pregnant, I don't know. I don't, I'm sitting there crying, I mentioned Toby Keith before. And one of the things, I've never, ever had a celebrity die. And I'm like, oh man, that sucks. But there was something about Toby Keith passing that, I shed tears for that guy. The moment I heard it, I couldn't believe it. And I think it's because we shared something in common, a cancer that ultimately took his life. But like I said, some of the conversations that have come out in some of the interviews has helped me tremendously, especially when he was asked, how do you navigate the dark hallways? And he said, faith. He said, I leaned on it when it was really bad, not so much when it was good. And now I've learned to lean on it a lot more all the time. Mm. And, the other part of it is the strength I get from the people that respond to my posts. Like, hey man, we're with you. You got this, whatever. And it's your strength and I'm talking to the people who are posting and following me, that I lean. You have no idea how hard I lean on that, because there was days like I would never take my own life ever. That's not in me. But I'm not gonna. I gotta sit here and tell you, there was days I'm like, God, can we just be done?
Sure.
Like it sucked that bad. It was that kind of dark days. And and anybody who's ever gone through this and said that they never had any dark days is lying to you. Because like one of the things that I never did understand, I respected, but I never understood, was when people would be on chemo or radiation and they would like, I'm done. I just want to go home. I want to go be with the Lord. Now I understand. Like I get it. Not only do you have my respect, you have my understanding on it. And the only reason why I fight like I do is because my doctors tell me we can beat this. Mm. Well, even if they told me no, I'm not sure what I would do. I would like to think that I would say, screw you, I'm fighting.
That's your first, that's Troy right there. That's the natural response of a Troy Warren would be, I'm going to, show you what I can do, right? Because you're telling me I can't.
Getting back to the softer, gentler guy, I spent a lot of time alone. And what I mean by alone is in my house, because my wife works outside the home. She does everything to take care of me, and then she goes and works. If you're a caregiver, God bless you. I can't say thank you enough. Anyway, sitting there by myself, I'm having these conversations back and forth, and some of the things that I've discovered is, and I got to revisit, with some relationships that were, for lack of a better word, well, estranged. Let's put it that way. And I got to look back at exactly what went down, and I was a dick most of the time. And fortunately enough for me, I'm still alive, and I actually have one couple down in California we got to go, Sally and I got to go to lunch with, and we got to clean it up. And I still have a few to go. Don't know where they're at, lost their contact. They're not on Facebook or Instagram. However, I hope to cross paths with them someday so I can at least say, sorry, I was a dick. I just hope you can forgive me. But let me tell you something, all that time alone, a lot of things I'm thinking about, so I lost my train of thought again.
You kind of get, so you get to know who you are, maybe who you are, who you're not. Kind of thing?
Yeah. I watch a lot of movies. My favorite movie, in which I explained this to you and Dan, was I watched Top Gun Maverick a lot. And there's a lot. And there's a lot of things in there. And one of the things that got to me about that movie, and I really appreciated about the way they laid the movie out, was when he was having this conversation with ICE. And he says, I'm a fighter pilot. I'm a naval aviator. It's not who I am. Or it's not what I do. It's who I am. And I got to thinking, I'm like, nah, dude, no, actually that's way cool, because at the end of the day, I was a business owner. I was management in a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I was a heavy line truck bus technician for 37 years. That's who I am. That's who I was, because I'm retired now. But it's because not only was I good at it, I was great at it. So I had that to lean on. And there was just some of the other things, I don't know if you want me to go into it, but there was some other things in the movie that he talked about. And I'll share one more. when Admiral Kane said your kind is headed for extinction, when he's heading out the door so he could go to North Island, he said, maybe so, sir, but not today. I got to thinking about that, and I was like, the 2 times that I was nose to nose, toes to toes with the Grim Reaper, it was like, maybe so, but not today. And so I kind of lean on that. There's a lot of other things in the movie, but those were the 2 big things for me.
Do you feel like now just things capture your attention more so than, if things weren't going on for you, you just kind of pass on by?
Yeah. I bought more lunches for homeless people. One time in particular, we were walking around when I could walk. I've had to learn how to do that all over again. And this is in the beginning. This is actually before my diagnosis. And we were walking by UCLA, and there was an obvious homeless guy, and he says, "Hey man, can I get a taco?" And I walked by, and I walked back to him. I said, "What do you want?" So I ended up buying him a couple of tacos, a burrito, and a Coke or a Pepsi or whatever it was. Took it out to him. Before I had just walked on by. I noticed things because I don't know their situation. So I'm a little softer. Maybe, I'm not going to give you money to buy booze, but I'll take you and buy you lunch.
Right on. Right on.
So stuff like that.
I would say that there's a lot more too with all that, right? A lot of lessons come along the way.
Yeah.
What about with Sally? It's one of the ones.
How strong she is. I knew she was a formidable mate. Which, by the way, we celebrate 28 years.
Yeah.
28 years of
Right on,
marriage.
Sally.
Yep. And I watch her do the bills. I watch her clean the house. She cooks. I've just recently, this last week, got back into the kitchen because I can see and I can do things again. But she had been feeding me since, I don't know, October, November, because I couldn't see. I couldn't get, I just think I wasn't able to do things because of the chemo. Take care of the dogs, take care of the outside of the house, take care of the cars, get them serviced, get me to my doctor's appointment, make my doctor's appointment, and then go to work.
And
one of the things, I always say, thank you for taking care of me. She says, you don't need to thank me. I signed up for this.
Wow.
Because I read so many times where a spouse says, I didn't sign up for this and left. In some of the cancer pages that Sally and I have been on. And I am forever grateful that I ran into her bowling on a league in 1994 at the Showboat before the Showboat went out of business. And she's wearing these red jeans, and I was just like, I asked my buddy, I'm like, who's that? Why, that just has to be Sally Hunter.
The red jeans.
Here we are, 30 years later, 28 of it married.
Beautiful.
So
still making strikes.
We're
still making effort.
We're closer now than we've ever been. And she'll tell you that. Right. When I'm having my bad days, everybody says, when he's having a bad day, she goes, well, then it's just time to love him a little harder. Because let me tell you, I can be a dick when I'm having a bad day, and it's not directed at any one thing. It's just the level of frustration because, like, there for a while, back in December and January, I literally had to crawl to even go to get out of bed, crawl to go to the bathroom. Sally literally had to help me into the car to doctor's appointments. So far, I have gone from crawling to using a walker 2 canes, and now
1 cane.
1 cane. And still wobbly. And I'm learning how to navigate, learning all of that stuff again, learning how to, because of the neuropathy was so bad, but learning how to get a feel on my fingers, button my own shirts, being able to cook again, things of that nature, because it's been so long, because she's been handling all of that. So but yeah, we're tighter than we've ever been. You want to climb between us, be worse than the Bundys when they saddle up and go against people that are on the outsides of them. And if you understand the reference, you know what I mean. If you know, you know.
She's your Lois Lane, huh? She's your Lois Lane.
Yes, she is.
Right on.
Yes, she is.
Well, they say, Troy, that the apple never falls far from the tree. And I've heard it said like this: when you have somebody special in your life like that, it's feedback.
Yes, very much so.
Feedback to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you too have been huge givers here in the community. And so how can we best support you?
Right now, just seeing me better, just seeing me, and specifically, especially if you go to my Facebook page and you go to some of my photos and you see me on that motorcycle, I want to be back on that bike again. You know, that's the one thing I'm fighting for, so we can get back on the bike. You know, I've been riding my whole life, and you know, I have a few 100,000 under the belt, yeah, on
Dang.
2 wheels.
That's some riding.
Just see me better. You know, I'm 59 years old, and I'd like to see my first grandchild and help raise him or her, and so just see me better. You know, see me back on my motorcycle.
Okay. Yeah. Dust it off a little bit and get it back on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Troy, I thank you again. You mean the world to me and Dan and my family. And I'm just grateful that we can have open discussions like this, because someone may be in their home right now feeling that they can't, and you can, right?
You can.
Obviously.
Ask the question. If something's to happen, what are we going to do? It has to be asked, because if not, especially a spouse, man, it can really wreck the surviving spouse.
Yeah. You, this morning I had you in mind. I was reading some scripture, and Psalm 90 verse 12 says, "Teach us to realize the brevity of life, so that we may grow in wisdom." And I feel like that was appropriate to share that with you, because you have literally just, like, you're not messing around.
Mm-mm.
You're making amends wherever you can make amends. You're living your best life based
Yes.
on your circumstances, and you're an inspiration to
I'm
us.
supporting a friend.
You're supporting me with Permission Mission, and it brought me the tears that day back in 23, when finally I felt like somebody heard what this mission is about,
Mm-hmm.
and how we can bring it out there into the world, into the homes, get people talking at dinner tables again,
Yep.
talking about real stuff, having the tears shed together, and also really showing our appreciation for the people we love while we're alive.
Yes.
Because that's what
a
I
big
heard
one. Mhm.
you really share today a lot, was the appreciation and the intention of living
Mhm.
on purpose today, not waiting until the one day that it happens when we don't have a chance to.
Yeah. Call me today and say hi. Don't bring flowers to my funeral.
There you go. We're going to leave it at that. Thank you, Superman Troy.
You're
we
welcome.
can breathe now. Next week's show is going to be about grudges. Yes, I don't know if you still have or holding grudges against someone, or even a grudge against yourself, but next show is going to be about grudges, and you'll be shocked and surprised at what I have in store for all of us next week. So please join us again next week. For permissionmission.com is the website. If you have any questions after today's show, if you have any questions for Troy or
Troy
even
Ethan Warren on Facebook.
Troy Ethan Warren on Facebook. You can contact him through that. But if you have any questions for me, or you have that idea of a show, a topic of bringing it here on Permission Mission, I invite you to go to my website, permissionmission.com. Just fill out the really short inquiry to connect with me. I'll reach out to you right away. And let's just continue to be brave, be proud, and be bold about living.
Everything.
Because one day we're all going to go. Thank you so much.